All right, so I'm just gonna make a couple of shovelfuls of paint and try and make them different enough from each other so that I love it when they clog. I'm so sarcastic about that. Also the fact that there's a marble in there and the top, the little hole is so small.
A marble in each container of paint?
Yes.
Okay.
But the tops in these particular bottles are not good because they let a little tiny smidgen of paint clog a bottle just by floating around in there on the top. And then you see that just sucked that right in.
Yeah.
And then it clogged it up. And that's not good. And I gotta not do that again because I don't want that on my artwork. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna try and keep this a little simple. Not that I'm capable of actually doing what I say, but I'll try. I'm gonna keep this simple. Repeat to me. Repeat to myself, keep it simple. All right. So, what else? This pink really only works with white, otherwise it dries darker or disappears.
Is that fluorescent pink? Or?
It's a neon from Artist Loft, which means it's not super high end. And the weirdest thing of all is, honestly, if the colors aren't exactly what I think I'm gonna like, they reconfigure themselves to be something more interesting if I'm willing to let them be, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, but we'll see if the theory rings true. Again, excuse me. Breakfast is still haunting me. All right, so I'd like to get my paint colors out of the way as best I can. I'm going to leave the gold where I can find it in case I want it. And everything that's had a top off, let's use some of that too. That's an iridescent pink from Art Minds that I love. So rather than cover my canvas from a squeeze bottle, which will be frustrating, really, I thought it was just outside, but it follows me. The schmutz follows me. All right, so this is sort of a learning curve of how much to put on. There have been times in the past when I didn't actually use a layer of paint, but then you have to fill in your edges. I would like for that turntable to swing completely around. And that paint is pretty thick. Sometimes I wonder if I always remember to do my additives. So the thicker the layer of paint, when you add more paint to it afterwards, means that you're going to get more effects from the pouring medium and the combination of the paints. There's going to be, it's not necessarily straight agitation. The white paint is often a catalyst for creating cells and patterns. And a thin layer acts differently than a thick layer. A thick layer means when you tip, you have more room for flow and agitation. And the reason we love my OXO omelet turning spatula that's available in the Amazon link is because we can see the stuff in the Floetrol that's stuck in the paint. Now what's nice is we're inside today and I have my glasses on so I can see the difference between white paint and white canvas. And I'm not going to miss any spots. I'm not going to worry about my edges right now. And I am going to not worry about there being an excess amount of paint on there. There is. But what you want me to do is what I call a sweep. That paint spatula is going in the bucket because if it doesn't go in the bucket and it dries on there, it's going to be a problem. Let me find an edge catcher.
Okay, so that's what your bucket of water is for.
Yes, you don't want anytime that your paint dries on a tool, then you're stuck with a tool with schmutz on it, and it's not helpful to have schmutz on your tools, just generally, but mostly if you're going to use a tool, especially on paint pouring, then you're going to leave a little divot or a mark. So even though we have shovels of paint, my inclination is to start with something. I want some more, some more color in there. And that's a Folk Art Minty Green Color Shift. And I want orange in that other shovel, and I don't know why it's not there. I totally want orange in there. Why don't I see any orange in there? All right, so no big shakes. Maybe something a little odd. This isn't how I probably did that piece that you're looking at, but there's so many different ways to do a piece, it doesn't hardly matter. And I have wanted to do this way for a while. So that shovel goes in the bucket. And I used to use too much paint often. Shoot, I didn't wet my rags and I need them wet. The reason to keep a wet rag is so you can wipe off your tools and you don't have to keep them in the bucket, because if you pull them out of the bucket and you need them, you're gonna have to dry them off also. All right, so let's just give me a start. I've got a nice heavy pool of paint in the center, and I'm just gonna let it tip a little bit before we add some more paint. And there isn't a lot of paint, which means, yes, I know you're filming the back of a canvas. It's par for the course. When you see something that might be a lump, pull it out. All right, so let's go ahead. Now you're looking for something to fill this side of the canvas.
Right.
Whoops, I don't want you over there. I don't want that schmutz in there either. Now you could do this as a puddle pour without having mixed any of these things, and I'm not too concerned. I could have made a whole lot more paint to spread on this canvas, but my intention is, what I usually do is just add more paint, like so. And this is going to be cool. And paint flows to paint, so anytime you want paint to spread, especially if you're using an edge catcher. Do I want that side? Yes, I like the other side better. I'm going to line that up with the edge, hold it right on, and I'm going to let everything flow down, because I'm going to let it flow back again in a second. I'm going to let it pool on the bottom. I'm going to rock it a little bit. I'm not taking it away from the canvas, and then I'm going to let it all flow right back. Actually, I want that to go down there, to that end. And I may want to just swipe that into place. Now, all of this paint on this edge catcher is available for my use.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm just going to...
jewelry or...
No, I'm going to scrape it right off with a spatula and put it on the canvas in the artwork. I'm going to use whatever paint I've got over here. I'm resting my skewer in the paint. I'm not going down to canvas at all. And I'm just sort of gently allowing it to roll itself over, because you wanted that filled over there. And I get to choose if I want to add another color, and I think I might. And I don't mind there's a little schmutz on that, but if you didn't want another color in there, you would clean your skewer off first. Now, I've got paint rolling over the side of my canvas, which is fine with me because I want my edge covered eventually. And there wasn't any paint there to begin with. Whatever's on my table is fair game for the edges. As you can see, the edge is covered from where the edge catcher was.
Yes.
And the edge is also covered now where the paint rolled over. And my finger is my best tool. They're free. They're on the end of your arms. So, you like... I see a large lump that needs to be removed right there. Come with me. Come with me with my fingers. Thank you. Goodbye. So I really liked what I had, and I'm not sure I want to go too much further away from that. I know you wanted it to be wider on one end, and the only way that I can do that at this point is to put more paint here, which I can do. Just for demonstration purposes. Why not? We don't have any black in there. We could have some black in there. I think I like the red.
Could you put some purple in there too?
I can. Absolutely. All right, so just for the sake of demonstration, I can do a couple of things. I can tip that over so that it begins to merge with that. I can go ahead and take all of the paint right off my edge catcher and use that right there. if I don't drag too hard, I won't make green with that yellow, with the blue. It's probably a trepidatious, it's probably iffy at best, but I have some confidence that I can do it, so I get away with more stuff. I'm just taking the flat into my skewer and going right up from one end.
I like that.
I'm just going to let the paint that's close to the edge be led over the edge by whatever I add to the edge. And I'm just going to rest my skewer right in what I've got. I like it to be balanced, and I want to look at it for a minute and see if there's anything that I want to do, and I kind of want to pull the eye down a little more here, so I'm just going to add a little bit of orange. And I didn't use a lot of gold, so I'm thinking whether I want that in there or not. And I don't mind using my skewer with a little loaded amount of paint on there to cover, but I kind of like the idea of some more purple, and I know you do too.
Yes.
Now when I scrape down the canvas, I'm going to have to cover that because it will dry that way. My dog says it's time to come in. So anything else I might want to do to this now may include adding a little gold. Wherever I feel it needs it. As long as the painted white background is still wet. Yes, I'll let you in, dog, in a minute. I don't even know how he got out. He snuck out while we were in and out of the building. All right, so if I taught this early enough, we might pop some cells because I use no silicone in my mix. But the reason to use the torch gently is to warm the paint, to allow whatever's going to expand, i.e. air bubbles in the paint from shaking it, to pop. Because if they form overnight, you're going to wind up with lumps and you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
You can pull all kinds of strands. If I were to take my spatula to this, okay, let's just do it, and swipe it down, it will probably, I'm just going to use the rest of that paint right on the spatula. And if it's still wet for long enough, it will meld. I kind of want something over here. Do I want it to be that? No, I don't. I am just going to use my finger there, though. And just like people are doing balloon dips and balloon kisses and so on and so forth, your finger works the same way. If you just drop it in, it will often create little cells in that area. Now I got a lot of white in there, and I suspect there's a lot of stuff hiding in there, and I think I left myself, oh come on, I thought I left myself an air tube, but it was on top of this stack of paintings. Okay, I'm just going to blow on it. Now you see what's in there?
Yes.
All kinds of stuff. So where you see the white with a little bit of stuff on top, there's stuff hiding. And as long as the paint is thick, it's accessible. Now I'm a mad spiraler, so I'm going to take whatever's here and use my skewer. I rolled it over on the edge, and as long as we're mixing with that white paint, it's going to keep popping little cells. My spatula's going to go in the bucket, and I don't see that much I really want to do to this, although that's tempting me. I'm going to use a Princeton Art Tool Catalyst spatula. And I'm not going to use the dirty side twice because I don't want more green than I already invited. But I kind of like that better. It just adds a little interest. And then I'm going to use paint that's left on my spatula. And I'm going to call that good, other than the fact that, I see that, yeah, I got to go rescue my dog. Add a few spirals here and there. You can pull out anything you want. You can waggle a skewer. As long as your paint is thick and not gloppy, then you're going to have some interesting patterns. And if you were to mix this paint in the shovels like we did, and add a tiny little splash or a spritz of silicone, you would have a whole different painting that would just be breaking right open with cells and patterns. But it's really hard to add just a little. I want am I happy with that? I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Never done. Yeah, I love the pink and the orange together. I really do. And we've got
a nice combination.
We've got a beauty mark and a little piece of schmutz that needs to come out. Easy enough to get rid of. So this is swiped over here, and you can see those little tiny cells. They're not anything monumental. I don't want to go too far over here because I'll be sorry if I ruin that because it's so nice. I keep saying I'm done. I'm going to walk away now. I say that and then I stick my skewer down again. It's typical Priscilla. I will fix the edges where there should be more white paint when you're done filming, and you can be done filming now.